Welcome to Beyond Rockets. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Clark Dunn and I'm your host. Get ready to enjoy some awesome conversations from Huntsville locals about cool work they are doing right here in the Rocket City. You can connect with us on social media at Beyond Rockets, and if you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, I'd love to hear from you. You can visit my website, beyondrockets.com today, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Clark Dunn. Sit back and enjoy this episode of Beyond Rockets. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Rockets. Today I have professional fisherman, entrepreneur, developer Boyd Duckett on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Clark.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. Yeah, so you're not originally from the Huntsville area, the North Alabama area. Talk a little bit about growing up in North Carolina and ultimately deciding to drop out of school in the 11th grade. Talk a little bit about all of that, because I think that's really where your entrepreneurial endeavors kind of started.
Yeah, that's been a minute since that happened. Yep, my first business was a body shop. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and in the 70s, that was kind of car central. The culture has changed, but hot rods and cool cars were all the rage, in the 70s. So I grew up around that and working on them, and actually had a shop. When I was in high school, and about midway through the 11th grade, it was costing me money, man. I mean, I'm getting out of school and just going to work and having to work till midnight to get my work done. So I'm like, let's go,
Wow.
So, and
what was the conversations like with your parents, and kind of making that decision to go, hey, this business has gotten so much that I need to spend more time doing this?
Yeah. So, I grew up in a split household. Parents had divorced. I lived with my mother, but she was, I guess not much conversation about that, because I was kind of on a path to, since I was 13 or 14, I was always doing something. So it was just kind of a natural step. So it's maybe different than it would be today.
Yeah. And I saw that, I guess, kind of after saving up $60,000, you kind of saw some opportunity in the Nashville area. At 22, which is this was kind of a really interesting thing to me that I found. 22, you wrote a business plan, kind of your first outside of the body shop, your next sort of big endeavor. You wrote a business plan, and First Tennessee Bank loaned you $565,000 for this business plan. Talk a little bit about writing this plan. Where did you start, and kind of take me back to that room of you're in this bank, pitching this business to this bank at 22, and then you leave with that much money.
Isn't that crazy?
It is insane.
Yeah, but we live in a different world again from that point. But so I went from working on cars and doing car repairs, had a pretty good body shop running, and I was also working on some tank treaders. What got me off into that piece, there was actually a mill collar, and I was doing some light tank repairs that the equipment in my shop could do. And there was a shop in Nashville, a big tank treader repair shop, belonged to Dairyman Incorporated. And actually the federal government busted them up for price fixing, and so sold the assets. And I just happened to be there at the time. Like today, car rate pays about half of what truck rate does. So working on tanks paid a lot more than it did working on cars. And so I went and I went back for the auction. And this show you how ignorant you are. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't know better. It's one of my favorite statements. Young entrepreneurs don't know they can't, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know you can't, you do. And so I went to this auction, and I bought this business, this building, not as an operating business, bought this building fully equipped, and it was a big step for me. And I had no funding or financing. I had the money I sold my body shop for to put down. And at the end of the auction, they were so mad at me because I didn't have a letter. I didn't have any of the things you were supposed to. They guided me to First Bank of Tennessee. And I went in and I met, and I said, hey, here's what I believe I can do with this. Scratched out on a yellow pad. I think that the commercial loan officer felt sorry for me because I'm, 22 years old and I probably don't know what I'm doing, but I guess he believed in me because I had it figured out. I just didn't understand format. At that time, didn't have a lot of formal education and struggled with that. And so he honestly helped me kind of build a pro forma, probably first time I'd ever heard the word, and put it together and probably $560,000 was a lot of money back in 1982. But the plan worked, the numbers worked, and that was kind of the beginning of a long trail of being able to move around and build some asset equity that helped me move into other businesses.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the tank leasing business, which was my biggest company.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you were already kind of professional fishing at the time too, weren't you? I think it was like 1977
Yeah.
is kind of when you started doing that. So what was obviously, maybe people listening to this or watching this are going to know you from the fishing. Um, but what was that kind of dynamic like? You get this money to do this business, but you're already professional. Like what was that balance like? And what were you how often were you doing both? And, you're new to this entrepreneurial thing. I mean, you have this influx of money to make this business happen, but you're also doing this other thing that's passion, like you have more passion maybe for, but that it would ultimately, be another career journey in 2007 when you actually formed the business.
Yeah. So doing multiple things is kind of my whole life. So it does confuse people because I've always got all these things going at the same time. But fishing has always been my passion. I still participate, love to fish. I've got a pretty big company called Major League Fishing, that partnership with Cronky Sports and Entertainment. And so never got out of the fishing business. But I would fish, but my business came first. I've always honestly enjoyed working maybe as much as fishing, and maybe if that's possible.
Yeah.
So that's never been something I didn't want to do. I did take 10 years, 2002 to 2012, and there's never been one thing I did in my life. So I kind of say it's a pie chart, and you can shift it, and that becomes the number one priority, which means everything else comes second. And that was from 2002 to 2012.
And that was like the tank leasing stuff was doing.
I had been tank leasing business during that time. I'm trying to think, probably something else at the same time. But I really that was my heaviest focus. And during that time period, won 5 tour level events, a world championship in 2007. But that's one of the things that's so much fun. And it doesn't matter what your interests are. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit, I've told people my whole life, if you believe in it, you have to have a plan. You can't just do things because you want them. You have to be willing to do. But chase your dreams. Life goes by. There's no reason to not be happy, to not do what makes you happy. What you do here is not a standard, 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
And but it's enjoyable, and you're normally going to be good at everything that you're excited about. So just chasing those dreams has kind of been the path, and all of them been a whole lot of fun. Of course, fishing's always been a passion as well, but I have a lot of other things. And like I say, my work endeavors and the companies that I've started, fortunately several successful, many unsuccessful. You have these conversations and everybody talks about the ones that work, and we don't get to talk about the ones that, or don't. You fell on your butt, but even that process teaches you a lot. It's fun and exciting, and you learn a lesson and move on and take on the next one, man. That's to me, that provides a full life.
Yeah.
Fulfills you to be able to chase your dreams.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, it seems as though, your passion was being a business owner and running businesses, and your passion and hobby was fishing. And then you eventually got to the point where you were able to marry the two.
Yeah, time. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which I think is a super, like, that's the lesson. I mean, like, we could probably end the podcast there. Like, that's the lesson. It's like, if you love, like, I love business. I love running a business. I love the grind and doing it. I love the selling process. I love everything about it. And I also love talking to people. And so it's like, okay, what better opportunity than to do this and finding a market for it? And like I said, 2007 is kind of when you were able to marry that. But an interesting thing too that kind of was a passion for you, even maybe in when you were in North Carolina, was music.
Oh yeah.
In 1995, you kind of are in Nashville with a partnership, music, producing, writing, and have done some stuff for some pretty big artists. Talk a little bit about that opportunity specifically, and kind of maybe some of those artists that you were able to be a part of in their career.
Yeah, so the time frame there is 1985 to 95. So it was 3 years after I was in Nashville. My interest in music is because I grew up playing out, local bars and stuff with buddies. I have actually I grew up playing and I love to play, but it takes, I didn't have the courage to go out by myself, and play a gig. And I hired one of my guys at my body shop, had a little band, wasn't good. Blue Max Band was the name. The guy's name was Max Womack, wonderful person. But, I started playing with them out. It gave me that opportunity. That was a lot of fun too. I tell people, you don't have to do it for a living. Music's a wonderful thing to enjoy, to play, and to share. And that's been very fulfilling to have a chance to do some of that. I played for about 10 years when I was in South Alabama with a friend of mine that was a banker, Paul Garner, and just the two of us, and we played all kinds of places, and had a blast doing it. Name for a band was Bankers and Tankers. How about
Yeah.
I was in the tank trailer business. He was a bank. He came up with that, and I'm like, Paul, that's the dumbest name ever, but everybody remembered that. So
For sure.
but we had fun doing that. But the music industry was an interesting run and a lot of fun to chase. And basically started as a song publishing company. That process of, recording all the demos, put us in touch with new aspiring artists. Our first major artist that you'd remember was Joe Diffie, and I had contracts on him the whole way through, but we did Sons of the Desert and Ty Herndon. And when I sold the management company in 95, we had just signed a deal with Tim McGraw. That went on with the new company. So,
Wow.
so yeah, we had some great artists and some others that didn't make it as well, but I have fond memories of it. But the fun industry, there's times I wish I'd have stayed in that. We had a lot of times with your company, and especially intangibles. Music industry is very intangible. What's a catalog of 1,000 songs worth? Nothing, or millions.
Yeah.
Okay, and the same thing with artists. Are they going to be big or small? Good friend of mine that used to do demos for me when I had the publishing company is Garth Brooks. And we had already launched in 88, had launched Joe Diffie. And so he finally got a record contract, and he's like, man, I want you to manage me. And we were all in. Well, I mean, I didn't have a lot of money then because all of it's tied up growing companies, but I was the finance guy as well as, and had a couple of partners. We just couldn't afford to do it. And so there's a turn down that would have been, but who know, it's all so intangible because you don't know who the next
The next opportunity that you had in your career might not have come because of taking that opportunity.
That's exactly right.
And so it's like, yes, one door does close, but there's always going to be another open door.
Yeah.
You might not you might not see it at the moment, but you might have to find it. And part of the entrepreneurial spirit, I think, is the eagerness and willingness to go find it.
Yeah, so there's a line in one of Joe's first singles. The name of his second album was Thousand Winding Roads. And the line in the song is, the straight and narrow path my daddy showed me turned into 1,000 winding roads. That's one of the greatest lines written in a song for me. And that's life. When you're young, you see a path and you feel like you have control of direction. And for a lot of people, it creates a roadblock when it doesn't work that way. I can tell you from experience that things that I've done, when you push to do it your way, it's hard. When you build a plan and the roadblocks come and the customers don't come the way you want to, and you want to just to podcast, but everybody wants you to shoot commercials, and that wasn't your plan, all the money might be in commercials. And I'm just making that up for you, but you have to learn to be flexible because it's 1,000 winding roads. There are no highways in life. Okay. It's just, Rascal Flatts was wrong with, the highway song, right? Life is a highway. No, it's not. Life's a mountain road, turns, winds. But that's what's fun and exciting. For me, that's what makes it so much fun. So every day for me is a new day. I wonder about people, because I can't relate, my personality can't relate. I wonder about people that feel like they don't get a good opportunity or they're stuck. And I think the separation is that an entrepreneurial mind simply recognizes opportunity. Because I can tell you, since I've been 16 years old, I've had way more opportunity than I've ever had time and money. Just endless opportunities I turned down. And so I think life provides endless opportunities if you can learn to recognize them. And they're not all good, but they're there. And so that may be like one of the core differences, because I've been asked many times, what makes people, go and build and do and create, regardless, not financially tied. Success is not financial. Success is personal fulfillment and usefulness and giving back. There's a lot of ways to be successful. But if you don't recognize that opportunity, or if you don't have the courage to try it or chase it, it never comes true. So
Yeah, I think the ability to pivot is such an important skill set too.
critical.
Because, like you said, the road's not straight.
It's not straight.
And that's, I mean, like I said, I relate very much to your kind of mindset too within it. It's that, that drive, that eagerness to explore and try and pivot. And if it doesn't work, that's okay, because you'll learn this from that. It's like, yes, this business idea, this business model wasn't necessarily the most successful, but it made these connections, and we learned this from it that we then implemented on this, that then made this successful. And I think that's the opportunity that often doesn't get seen, and sometimes it's hard for people, is that they see this particular thing not work, so everything within that thing didn't work. When in reality, it's that the whole thing as a whole didn't work. There's definitely good pieces there.
Absolutely.
And so being able to apply those pieces to other things to make better things is the critical mindset, I think, for a successful entrepreneur. Making your way to Alabama after your time in Nashville, you kind of become bought into a catfish company that was doing fillets in Alabama. Talk a little bit about that opportunity, and kind of, I'm guessing that was sort of your first introduction into, moving here to Alabama and then ultimately planting roots here in North Alabama.
That's right. So I had, of course, the Nashville operation expanded to Demopolis, Alabama, and opened a new terminal there, doing the same thing, tank trailer repairs, and was getting heavy into the tank trailer leasing business, which became the bigger part of the business. But in the industrial park where I was a catfish processing plant. So in the mid-90s, catfish became the number 2 consumed fish in the U.S., and the majority of it was from the U.S. It's not anymore, it's imported, but at the time, it was U.S. In West Alabama and East Mississippi was the perfect area for raising catfish, the limestone soil and all the things. So all the catfish producers built ponds, and so it became big industry down there. So a group of catfish producers, the farmers, had gotten together because they were mad at this big kingpin catfish company called Southern Pride. And Southern Pride was kind of dominated, and they controlled pricing. And, if you know anything about farming, it's common for milk producers or cattle producers they're always fighting, to have their product have more value at the market. So they went off on their own and built a brand new state-of-the-art catfish processing plant, and they were going to pay themselves at the pond a higher fee. The problem is they learned quickly that didn't produce enough money to run the catfish plant.
Oh, wow.
So they ended up filing bankruptcy, and I bought that facility at auction, mostly for the purpose of trying to right the ship and resell it. I really felt like the property and equipment was worth more than I paid, and it was about $500,000 or $600,000. I don't remember exactly.
And this was early 2000s?
Oh, this is mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s. And so that catfish plant, and this was really an interesting deal because the owner at the time of Southern Pride, later became American Seafood, but Southern Pride, catfish, didn't come to the auction, but came to see me a couple of weeks after I bought the plant. And of course, I was going to try to flip this plant, make a couple $100,000, right? That was sort of the idea, or part it out, sell the equipment. So he comes and sees me, and he just, chews my butt out. And he goes, "You don't know what you're doing. It's a waste of time." And because I had offered to sell it to him, "I'll never buy it. I don't need it. You can't." Well, that gave me tremendous motivation after that meeting. I'm like, I'll just go produce catfish.
Yeah.
So I got the plant up and running. Really tough job. Don't misunderstand me. I didn't know what I was doing, but we got it. We got everything up and running. But I understood that the key is supply. So the producers, the farmers in our market, excuse me, I went and I did multi-year contracts to buy their fish with an escalator in their fish, and I was able to tie up all that product. And we were producing, when we got to rolling, we were producing about a little over 1.1 million pounds of 3 to 5 ounce fillets a week. So we're turning product.
Yeah.
More importantly, I had all the fish tied up,
Mm.
and that starved out Southern Pride.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, owner comes back after we're up and running one day, wants to have a meeting. He's still mad, still chews me out, but at the end of the meeting says, "How much you want for it?"
Wow.
So I sold it to him.
Wow.
So that was that.
How long was that? Like, how many years was that?
2 years.
Oh, in 2
Yeah,
years.
about 2 year run. Yeah,
Wow. That was a quick in and out kind of thing.
quick in and out.
You found an opportunity, you
Wow.
capitalized,
There you go.
and then you exited.
That's it.
And sort of, I mean, obviously, like I said, a lot of people will know you from the fishing. And 2007 was kind of that big. You win Bassmaster, and kind of from that, you started Duckett Fishing. Talk a little bit about that. Did you always think about doing something like that into the fishing realm? Was the winning of the Bassmaster kind of that stepping stone that elevated that opportunity to become more clearer, that you said, "Hey, now's the right time"? Or like take us back to that moment.
Yeah, so, as a professional angler, you're trying to build a brand that fans recognize, and generally that's so that you can sell sponsorship. I did that through that. Though I fished my whole life, there's that 10-year time period that was that it was the number one priority. And then winning the World Championship, Bassmaster Classic in 7, and I was winning other tour events at the same time. So that put me at kind of the peak of the game and gave me the opportunity. I never thought I'd build rods, reels, and baits.
It was just it was a passion. And then that opportunity came and you said, "Let's do it."
Opportunity came. I said, while the brand is powerful, let's get out there and do it. And so that's what was created the birth of Duckett Fishing.
Yeah.
And now we still produce a lot of product.
Yeah, and y'all were the first manufacturer to introduce micro-guided rods, and I think it was also first all-white rods.
Yep, that's
Which is super interesting. That business has grown, and obviously, I mean, a lot of people know you for the rods and reels. And there's still like y'all have a heavy presence, if not most of your presence, here in Guntersville as well, don't you? With sort of some facilities here, kind of operating within Duckett Fishing.
Yeah, all the corporate offices and warehousing is there in Guntersville. I'm in Huntsville today, but yeah, down the street in Guntersville. So yeah, we're right there, and that's kind of my main office. Also have Duckett Marine business there in Guntersville as well, dealership, but usually kind of my hub office is there at Duckett Fishing, mostly because I like to be around it.
100%.
Our newest thing, and we've been in rods and reels for a long time, but is getting in the lure business. And of course, having a passion for fishing, everything is fun at that company if you love to fish, because I have access to just dream up anything I want to, creating new lures, and so that's been a lot, and that's been our biggest growth last couple of years, just creating new lures.
Yeah, and like we were talking about off air, like you kind of got into a point in your career post selling kind of the tank business in 2012, where now you get the opportunity to kind of do the things you want to do. You don't have to do everything. You get to do elements of things that you enjoy, and you get to do elements of the things that you enjoy within elements of those things.
Yeah.
And so you get to really choose and pick and kind of curate what your day looks like and what you spend your time doing. But today we also, I mean, a big part of a conversation today too, and kind of as we finish off the kind of the conversation that we're having, Duckett Pointe. Talk a little bit about that development. Maybe kind of just to get us started, what is Duckett Pointe and why is Duckett Pointe a thing?
Yeah, so the real estate development piece of my life is a lot of fun, and I've done a fair amount of it. This is my biggest project, Duckett Pointe is. But I have real estate holdings, in mostly commercial in the leasing business. I've always enjoyed building residential. Okay, it's just a lot of fun to build residential and work with people on that. Got another project down there called Spring Creek which is lakefront, but it's just a house and a boat dock, and it's a lot of fun to create somebody's dream. I mean, it's and I love to be around that. But Duckett Point is, with all the things I've done in real estate, and as much as I've traveled, I've fishing since 1977. I think I've been on every lake in America. Okay, probably not, but almost. And we VRBO, and I've stayed every place. I've owned lake homes other places. When I was in Demopolis, had a lake home at Lake Martin. And so all of the things that took away from the fun of having a lake home for a second home,
Mm.
or even for a primary home, but all of what takes away from that, all the work and the upkeep and not having things that would make it more convenient,
Yeah.
all of that is Duckett Point. So it's a lakefront community. It's a PUD development. If you think of, if you're familiar with the coast, watercolor, seaside, Al's Beach, that it's that kind of a community project. And so it's streetscape, it's community driven, houses, same basic construction as those coastal houses, but tailored with rock and wood so that it fits our part of the country. It's very unique too. And as I said, it's waterfront. So, we've got we've got docks right there. We have a marina adjacent to the property, dry storage, wet storage, concierge service, amenity heavy. And so really we take care of everything. We do all the landscaping, and if you've been to watercolor, it's pretty impressive. It's that level of landscaping. You do nothing but show up. We have, shopping service. We have cleaning service. We'll do if you're from out of town and you come to spend the weekend down there, you will stock your refrigerator. We'll have your steaks on the grill and a candle lit, and you show up. So
That's awesome.
that's the design for it, and make lake life easy.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. We've got pontoon boat rental, jet skis, canoes, just everything you might want to do. You don't have to work to accomplish.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story because about lake life, for anybody that has a lake home that's listening. You've all experienced the same thing. When I had my Lake Martin house, it's a beautiful lake down there, enjoyed going. But we'd go, you might get out on Thursday night. We usually went on Friday, for the weekend. And you get over there and you got to pick up all the sticks and rake because you hadn't been there in 3 weeks or a month or, whatever goes by. And so you spend that day, then the next day the battery's dead on your boat and you got to go charge it. And then 2 or 3 things are broken. And so you spend most of Saturday working. You get up Sunday morning, you're like, okay, I'm at the lake. What a beautiful place. And then Sunday afternoon, you got to pack up and leave because it can be a maintenance nightmare. We do 100% of that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's my real excitement about the Point is as we get residents in the Point to watch them enjoy. Hopefully I've thought of everything. If I haven't, I'll fix it, but it's going to be a lot of fun to have a group of people that just come and enjoy the property. That may be my most proud creation. If it works like I want it to, I think I'll be very proud when those people enjoy it.
Yeah, and people are already, I mean, you already have people that are living there and already enjoying it. I think there's like 4 different levels of home within Duckett Point. You have the townhomes, you have cottages, estate homes, and villas. So different sizes depending on the need, the want, if it's second space and maybe you just need a townhome, or if it's, hey, we're retired and we're moving in and we want a villa because we want to be able to have the space for grandkids and family to come and all of that. You have the sort of the different levels for the different ideal customer. And I think what's interesting too is like you said, like, I feel like there's people maybe that, know of someone that has a lake house and maybe they just don't go very often because there is all those things associated with, hey, we're going to go for the weekend, but realistically, if we want to enjoy the weekend, we probably need to go on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right.
Because then Wednesday, Thursday, we get to actually get everything cleaned up. Friday, Saturday, we get to enjoy, and Sunday we get to pack home. Well, then it's not a weekend trip. It's a you're on vacation for a week. It's like that always can't happen. And there will be plenty of people probably at Duckett Point that live full time out there. There'll be plenty of people that get it as a second home, that travel in from out of state, whatever it might be. Talk a little bit about that current occupancy and like as we're recording this at the end of March. What is sort of how many people are currently living at Duckett Point, and sort of what is the estimations and kind of the projections look like for 2026?
Yeah, sure. So we have our first home completed with the residents in. So we have one set of residents in. We started last spring, had to finish infrastructure. Uh, we have so the project is kind of built around a big park called Willow Park. Got fire pits, community gathering areas. Uh, we have a nice pavilion where you can go cook out. Uh, within the park and within the project are ponds with waterfalls and streams. And so it's really a cool lifestyle type environment. The clubhouse we call the Shoreline Club is large. It's a large and impressive restaurant, bar, resort size pool,
Wow.
and all of that is lakeside. So those would be the amenities that are there. We're this spring, we've got about 3 more families that we hope to start on their homes shortly. Probably going to start one of the set of townhomes. We just talked about that on the drive over here, so we're trying to pick which one
Yeah.
we're going to do. But we're right in the heart of building now. We like to do pre-sales. I'd like to pre-sell as much as possible. Or every home's designed and every footprint is finished. And it's finished and for a purpose. The whole system works together.
Because I mean, you're creating a neighborhood, and so you're wanting all these, it's like one big puzzle, and you're wanting all these pieces: the homes, the townhomes, the community, the infrastructure, um really this kind of like the cityscape, so to speak, of the way someone would traverse from their home to the park, to the lake, to the dock, to the pavilion, to make it all make sense.
Absolutely. And so that is what dictates those footprints and roughly size. We can make some exception to that. But what a pre-sale does is it allows you to customize your home. You're going to either, and they're all high quality and great finishes and appliances, but whatever I pick is not yours. Okay. At the end of the day. So it's way better. And what we'd like to do is come in and we have the cost of the home and the base. And then you come in and customize it so that it's exactly what you want. So it's like you built your own house, but we already have the big picture figured out for you. And it's a lot of fun to go through that process for the customers that we're currently working with. It's, those meetings have turned out to be a lot of fun and enjoyable for them. So have those pieces together and gosh, man, we're ready to go. All of this is built out on our website. So Duckett Pointe with an E, DuckettPointe.com. Got it all virtually built out so you can see what every home looks like, the whole project finished. And shoot, come see us, man. Holler at us. We'll show you where we are. And we're a lot of equipment and construction going on out there now, but we're trying to do it in phases so that we finish up. Your section will be finished and we'll grow back from the lake. Got a few homes. We've got 3 specs built and available now. Like I say, about to have a 3-unit townhome building, and the townhomes are outstanding. All that you can see all that on the website. Everything's on the website.
Yeah,
So
and it's I mean, we were talking about it off air, like, the Guntersville area has just been booming, and y'all are this Duckett Point is kind of set right in the heart.
oh yeah,
And so not only does the community itself have so many amenities, but you have so many amenities within walking distance, within short drives, within there's just so much in that area. I mean, we're talking about the golf course. Gunner's Landing is a fantastic golf course, and there's a lot of community connection within Duckett Point and Gunner's Landing. But like I said, everything will be on their website. We'll have links to that in the episode notes. So if you want to find out more information about that, I mean, as we kind of wrap up the conversation, if there, maybe it's the entrepreneur that's listening, it's that person that, we talked a lot about that business mindset at the beginning of the podcast. Is there one thing that you would want to leave someone with, either a piece of advice, a lesson learned, just something to take away from maybe your career experience in being an entrepreneur and what you would give back to the next generation?
uh, that's a big question. And but yeah, a couple of things that really come to mind from an overview is first, don't be afraid to chase your dreams. Find the courage. For you to be most successful, you have to do something you love. I don't know people that are very successful at anything that they don't love. Okay. And it doesn't matter what your love is, but don't be afraid to go find that. Don't get trapped. Life goes by fast. And so chase your dreams. It's, here, another song quote. Cody Johnson currently got a song out, and one of the lyrics are, chase your dreams because a dream won't chase you back. Okay. It's your responsibility to go find it. So have the courage to go do that. Stay in something that keeps you motivated. If you don't get up in the morning and look forward and feel excitement to go in and accomplish, you're in the wrong thing. And everybody has a thing. It doesn't matter. And it can be accounting. It can be anything, but it's you. Find what makes you work, what makes you flourish. And success, every one of us is successful. Every one of us. It doesn't take a special person. I'm a really average guy that worked in a body shop that quit high school. Okay? I'm not exceptional. But I chased what I wanted to do, and I was excited about it, and it makes you perform at your best level. And life's a whole lot better. Don't put yourself in a bad place. So, and the other piece is to be open-minded and learn to recognize opportunity. Don't chase them all. Make good decisions, but don't be afraid to consider. I said, they're doing that. I wonder if I could do that. Yes, you can do that. You can do it. It seems harder or worse than it is. And when we opened, I talked about one of my biggest advantages, I think, was not knowing you couldn't be successful. Like I had no fear because I didn't know better. And so if you think it's the wildest thing in the world, you got nothing to lose, go do it. And you probably can.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time today. I've enjoyed our conversation immensely. I think it's been incredible to hear a little bit about your story and kind of the lessons you have and this community that you're building in Guntersville. I think it's a very unique thing. It's something that really haven't seen to that level of concierge and that level of intentionality from a lakeside community. We'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes, links to fishing rods, fishing reels, links to Duckett Pointe, links to anything we've talked about. But I appreciate you taking the last half hour or so to talk to me. So I appreciate it. And I look forward to the success. Look forward to seeing this community grow in the Guntersville area.
Thanks for the opportunity. Love being part of this Huntsville community, Clark, and great job here. It was fun being on.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Rockets. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and on YouTube at Beyond Rockets. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Beyond Rockets to stay up to date with new episodes as they are released. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.